everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Flash Season 9 review series. And today I'm going to be talking about episode 12, A New World Part 3, Changes, which I have just finished watching. And this episode, even though it's had a couple of cringy moments, by and large was very good and very enjoyable to watch, and a huge improvement and step up from the previous episode. And for those of you who know already, this is part 3 of the 4-part series finale called A New World. And the way this episode played out, it did an amazing job in setting up the show's conclusion, which for me could very well be the most epic finale for the Arrowverse. That's a big, bold statement I made there, I know, but from the way this episode played out, and especially with the way this episode ended, which I'll get to in a moment, this show could very well be on its way to going out with a hell of a bang. We've been wrong before. We'll have to see, really, but I am absolutely pumped for the show's final episode and the final part of A New World 4-part series finale, because it's kind of funny because season 9 has been so up and down. You know, there's been some very bad episodes, but as I said before, if we had just cut this season in half, maybe had 5 episodes, but just extend the length just a little bit longer, this could have very well been the best season the show ever made since the earlier seasons. But it is what it is, but I'm absolutely enjoying this so far. Part 2 was a bit of a letdown, but part 3, my God, we came back with a vengeance. I was a little bit concerned that Barry was going to be taking a backseat to his own show again, but thankfully that didn't happen. Barry Allen was back in the lead, doing his thing, and it's just so much better when he's in the lead because it's his show. Let's be real about it. It's his show. Why shouldn't he be in the lead? You know, Team Flash, I don't really care about that incarnation of Team Flash. Team Flash hasn't mattered since Cisco left. That's how much Team Flash has gone down the tubes. But I really enjoyed this one a lot, and my God, I'm absolutely pumped for the show's final episode, and I can't wait to see how it's all going to end. So, as always, I'm going to give a quick recap of what's happened so far, and then after that, we're going to get straight into talking about episode 12. So, as we saw in episode 11, we saw Eddie Thawne has returned from the dead, and he was going around asking questions about how he's back and why did he die, and it was really good to see Eddie Thawne back. He was sorely missed on the show, and it was like he never left, and we basically saw him going around trying to figure out who the voice was that was calling out to him, and we saw the cobalt radiation take possession of Mark, and we saw Mark try to basically destroy Team Flash from within, and we saw at the end Eddie Thawne was digging up his own grave, and he realizes that he is indeed Eddie Thawne, not Dr. Malcolm Gilmore, which was the name he was going by. And we see him pull out the very same bullets that he used to kill himself back in the season 1 finale of The Flash. And this was a very good conclusion to part 2, and it did a great job in setting the stage for part 3. And it's great to see Eddie Thawne back. How he's going to become Cobalt Blue, we don't know yet, but from the way part 3 ended, I think we may have found out how exactly he becomes Cobalt Blue. So with that all said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 12, A New World Part 3, changes. So we kick things off with a montage of events leading up to Eddie Thorne in his own grave. He says he needs to find out what's happening and says he needs to find the Flash. When Detective Colbar questions things, she is sucked into a mysterious blue vortex that opens up in the sky. At Star Labs, Team Flash tries to process what they know about the negative speed force attacking them across space and time. Barry Allen is still missing. Speed Force Nora shows up and tells them that the negative Speed Force has cloaked Barry in its own dark energy and he's bouncing across time and is heading towards 2049, as that is where the blue crystal is. The crystal will choose another victim and attack Barry. Speed Force Nora says that she can no longer help him and warns that if Barry dies, the entire timeline will be erased forever. In 2049, at Star Labs, Team Flash celebrates a victory with Nora as team leader. Barry is in space at the Watchtower. We've got a Justice League reference, everyone. The Watchtower. Chester and Allegra are married in the future, and there's an energy surge at the Flash Museum up the top of Star Labs. We see Eddie Thorne is in the museum. Eddie tells the guard that he's looking for the Flash and is pointed to his original costume. He sees a video of the Flash's greatest enemy, Reverse Flash, and Eddie doesn't believe that because he saw the Reverse Flash die and that he was the one who sacrificed himself to ensure the Reverse Flash ceased to exist. He is then approached by a blonde version of Nora saying that she's his daughter. Eddie says he doesn't have one, and the blonde Nora says he can have one, but he has to come to her. However, the real Nora super speeds in and rescues him from the vortex, and she recognizes him. Team Flash figure out that Eddie Thorne is the real one, but he's giving off a lot of radiation, and they think his emotions are triggering the opening of the vortexes. Nora goes to talk to him. He realizes she's Barry's daughter, and she tells him that when she met him in 2013 during some time travel shenanigans, she tells him that the vortex is a singularity that almost destroyed Central City on the day he died. Eddie starts to realize that his sacrifice was futile. Nora says he has been given a second chance and it's up to him to decide how to use it. You gotta really feel bad for Eddie Thorne because he kills himself to make sure that the Reverse Flash is wiped out of existence, but the Reverse Flash comes back anyway. So Barry takes his girl and marries him, and he dies for nothing. Bad day to be Eddie. Back in the present, the team continues to figure out how to help Barry. Mark says that the crystal really hates Barry and his love wasn't enough to fight it. Cecile suggests that her empathy could have helped, and Chester thinks that could be the key. He thinks she should try to project her consciousness into her future self. Wait a minute. This feels like the X-Men, Days of Future Past, with Kitty Pryde. In 2014, Nora sends Barry a message to the Watchtower. Yay! Justice League reference number 2, everyone. But before she can leave the vault, the crystal finds her. Nora goes and talks to Eddie and starts to help him. Back in 2023, Cecile projects herself into her future self with the warning that anyone could be influenced by the blue crystal. It works. Past Cecile ends up in her body in the future. However, there's a bunch of stuff that past Cecile doesn't know about her future self yet, which includes that she only sees her family twice a year. Realizing this, she passes out and ends up back in her past self. She declares that she can't do it. Cecile storms off and Keone tells him that he's the only one should go to talk to Cecile. At Mercury Labs in 2014, Eddie and Nora investigate, but Nora is possessed by the blue crystal and she starts asking questions and suggests that he's there for a purpose. She suggests it has something to do with the Thorns, prompting Eddie to have a flashback to Eobard Thorne telling him that he was the only Thorn forgotten by history. Nora suggests to Eddie that he could get his life back. Eddie starts to question Nora when he realizes she's talking about hurting Barry, so she starts to goad him. She offers him the crystal which caused him, but he resists and runs out for air. However, while he's getting air, Barry suddenly appears. He hugs her, unaware she's been possessed by the cobalt radiation, and zaps him with the crystal. Barry tries to tell Nora that this isn't her, it's the negative speed force, but it tells him that he either needs to kill his daughter or she'll kill him. Eddie shows up at the time, and it's enough of a distraction, and Barry is able to speed himself and Eddie back to the West House, which is Eddie's house in the future. Eddie has a breakdown, crying that everything is wrong. Barry says that maybe the two of them can stop the crystal and the negative speed force together. Eddie starts telling him that he had the life and memories of Malcolm Gilmore, and when Barry picks up something in the house, it morphs into something of Joe's. Barry realizes it is a false reality made of negative tachyons. Barry realizes that this is the work of the negative speed force and that it brought Eddie back to life to be its avatar. Barry tries to explain to Eddie the situation, but Eddie isn't sure because when he's seen the negative speed force so far, it's been only good. It brought him back from the dead. Eddie hears the crystal calling to him and tells him that Barry is lying. Eddie tells him that he can hear the crystal and he's starting to not be able to tell the difference between himself and the voice he hears. Eddie thinks that if he chooses the crystal, he could be the hero and he could get everything he lost, including the girl. Barry tries to tell him that Iris and Nora aren't his family, but Eddie won't have any of it. Barry asks Eddie what would Iris want him to do before possessed Nora demands that he bring Eddie to her. Barry leaves Eddie behind and tells him that he believes that he will make the right choice. We are back in 2023. Chester goes to talk to Cecile. She tells him she feels like a failure for what she learns about herself in the future. And she tells him that she feels like the choice she's made means she will lose her family forever. Chester gives her a pep talk and tells her that if she's making it work now, she should trust that she can do it in the future too. He tells her that her greatest strength is her heart and her dedication to the people that she loves. We then see the Flash confronts the possessed Nora, while in the present, Cecile decides to go back into her future self. Barry and Nora face off and race through Central City, fighting one another, culminating on the rooftop. Barry tries to get through to Nora on the inside, beyond the possession, but fails. She hurls him from the building and injures him. Elsewhere in the city, an older Iris sits on her couch and is visited by Eddie. He tells her that he has a decision to make and he needed to see her to make it. He sees a photo of Iris with her family with Barry, but it turns into a family photo of himself and Iris, and he decides that maybe I will stay. Nora prepares to kill Barry, but Cecile stops her. Cecile uses her powers to throw the crystal out of Nora and saves her. Cecile then approaches Barry and reveals her name, Virtue. Yeah, you see, the thing with Team Flash, which bothers me a lot now, it seems like you just throw anyone into the superhero club and says, yeah, you could be a hero too. You know, I kind of liked it more better when we had the traditional Caitlin, Cisco, and the Flash and Harrison Wells. You know, just making everybody a hero is a bit annoying and cringy, and the costume's just so generic. It just looked like a cheap version of Catwoman. I'm not saying she didn't look great in the outfit because she did, but just looked like everyone's just playing cosplay. That's just my opinion, really. Back with Iris, Eddie tries to win her over and she tells him that she loves Barry and her family and her life. She rejects Eddie and this upsets him, and he tells her that she will regret that and leaves after threatening everything she loves. As Barry and Nora make up, a storm over the city with red lighting starts to form. At Star Labs, Barry and Cecile catch things up on the team, and the attacks are happening simultaneously, which is why the team doesn't know. All that is left of the Speed Force lives in Barry's family now. Speed Force Nora is gone. Chester discovers that the timeline is fracturing and they are running out of time, literally. Cecile says that she will warn the 2023 team. Iris arrives to talk to Barry. Barry is dragged away by the blue energy again. Elsewhere, Eddie sits in his lab and he starts destroying things and questioning why he was brought back and what did he do to deserve this. Suddenly, a distorted voice calls to him and the blue crystal shows up in its case. The crystal shows him everything he can't have and tells him that it's waiting for him. All he has to do is accept the power. And inside the crystal, we see Zoom, Reverse Flash, Savitar, and Godspeed. He reaches his hand out and opens a vortex. And that's how we end episode 12. Overall, aside from a couple of cringy moments that I mentioned with Cecile, I thought this was absolutely fantastic. Seeing Eddie Thorne trying to learn about how exactly he died while trying to fight against the voice and confronting Barry Allen and accusing him of taking everything from him, and Iris as well. Great stuff. Personally, this should have been the season 9, really. We should have got this. The fact that we're only getting it towards the end is a bit of a missed opportunity. Eddie Thorne should have been brought back at the beginning of season 9, and we should have just played this out throughout the whole season. This would have been so much better. And as I said before, just cut half of this season in half, have 4 or 5 episodes, or 6 the most, and I think we would be having a very different conversation. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode a lot, and I'm really pumped for the series finale. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Eddie Thorne finally become Cobalt Blue, something that I've been wanting to see, as I've said many times over, since the show started. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on episode 12? Did you enjoy it? What did you think of Eddie Thorne confronting Barry and Iris? Did you enjoy those scenes? And also, what did you think of the cobalt radiation possessing Nora? How do you think Eddie will finally get his powers? Will we see him as Cobalt Blue? And also, what did you think of Cecile going between her past self and future self? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for the final edition of the Flash Season 9 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 13, which is the final and fourth part of the 4-part series finale, which is shaping up to be very epic. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it, especially with the way this entire episode played out. And if the trailer is anything to go by, seeing an army of evil speedsters who we've seen all throughout the show's run, then this show's going to go out with a hell of a bang, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And I'm really excited and interested at the same time to see how exactly they are going to end The Flash. So fingers crossed that they come through and deliver a fitting and epic ending for this show. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.